Hiya friends, Prepared Suburbanite back with you. Well, I am convinced now more than ever that Donald Trump is not only waging a campaign fight against Kamala Harris, but that she is teamed up with the federal government, the Department of Justice, and the media. And I've got some examples that I want to share with you right after this. So first up on the news this morning was the article that, or the event that occurred just outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in a little town called North Versailles, Pennsylvania. And apparently J.D. Vance and his team went to that restaurant to have a campaign event, very similar to the one that Kamala Harris had just recently at that very same restaurant. And according to the news articles, he was forced to greet his supporters in the parking lot after the restaurant denied him entry. And apparently some of the folks that were in the restaurant were so upset about what they had just witnessed that they canceled their food orders and walked out of the restaurant. And I don't really blame them for that. And now the Primanti Brothers restaurant is backpedaling quite a bit, saying, oh, they didn't get any advanced notice of his visit, even though that was already pre-arranged, but he just happened to arrive an hour early. And so they're backpedaling on this whole thing. They didn't want to admit that they bounced him out of their restaurant, but they're perfectly willing to use a cover story that they weren't notified in advance and that their venue wasn't really the right kind of a venue for a campaign thing and all that. So he's J.D. Vance, who, and if you haven't read his book, read The Hillbilly Elegy. I think you'll learn an awful lot about J.D. Vance. But Trump and Vance are fighting a battle on all fronts. Now here's the here's the one that really got me going, I think, more than anything, was that the Department of Justice sues the state of Alabama and the state's top election official for allegedly purging non-citizen voters because it was too close to the election. There's no too close to the election to make sure that U.S. citizens are the only ones that can vote in our election. But the fact that they have now sued the state and the official for cleaning the rolls in Alabama, it's going to be an uphill battle in Alabama. And right here in my home state of North Carolina, North Carolina election officials removed nearly 750,000 ineligible registrants since the start of 2023. And that news just recently came out, and it's, I picked this story up from the State Board of Elections website right here in North Carolina. But I didn't see any threats of legal action by the Department of Justice on that one. But it's only Sunday right now, so who knows what they're going to do tomorrow morning. Virginia, the same thing. Virginia removes 6,303 non-citizens from their voter rolls, fueling fraud allegations. Now, I think the fraud allegations were that these people were about ready to commit fraud because they're non-citizens. They were registered and they got cleaned off the rolls. But if none of this makes any sense to you, then it should, because the media is in tight with the Harris campaign. They're in tight with the Department of Justice. The Department of Justice is in tight with the Harris campaign. And I took the dog this morning for a walk, and I mentioned this in a previous video, that I am seeing more and more Harris Walls signage in my neighborhood. And we live in a, I guess you'd say, an upper middle class neighborhood. It's always been leaning liberal. I have generally seen more Democrat yard signage than I do Republican yard signage, but right now it's about 2 to 1. We got two right here on our street that we live on, brand new Harris Walls yard signs that just popped up, and I took the dog for a walk, and there are they're popping up all over the place right now. So I don't know what your experience has been, but I think there's an awful lot of activity going on that we should be aware of, that we should be in tune with. These kinds of things, banning J.D. Vance from a restaurant stop, having the DOJ sue a state for cleaning up its rolls, its voter rolls. None of this stuff really makes any sense to me at all. U.S. citizens are the only ones that are supposed to be voting in our elections. And what's been going on, the federal government initiated a policy department-wide that says whatever you can do within your departments to encourage voter sign-ups, please do it. So when you go to the DMV, when you sign up for whatever federal program you might be thinking you're eligible for, you also get asked if you want to register to vote, and they don't ask if you're a U.S. citizen. So a lot of these folks are just saying, yeah, sure, and they'll sign the form, and they get added to the rolls, and then it's up to the state election officials to parse through those rolls and see if they can figure out who's an eligible citizen and who is a non-eligible person. And the federal government is in tune with this. They're pushing this every which way they can. I don't know what you're seeing in your neighborhoods, and I hope you live in some very conservative areas, but for me, the area that I live in does definitely lean Democrat. We've had a Democrat representing our district in Congress for a number of years now, and every time somebody challenges her to for the vote, for the representation here in the House, she just decidedly wins. And how about that? So there it is. I don't know what you're saying. Let me know what you are seeing in your neighborhoods. If you live in an urban area, let me know. If you're living in a suburban area, let me know. And if you're out in the country in a rural setting, what are you seeing that may be different than urban and suburban settings? This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to keep your head on a swivel. Watch out for the opportunities to make sure that we get our votes counted. And I'm urging everybody to vote as soon as you can. Vote early. Our early voting starts here, I think, on the 17th of October, and I'll be in line on the 17th, making sure that my ballot gets processed, because I'm concerned that something's going to happen that will, on election day, that will prevent us from casting our ballots, because historically, conservatives wait until election day to cast their ballots. And the Democrats have traditionally used early voting and mail-in voting to deal with their votes. And I think the tide is changing a little bit on that. I want to make sure that my vote is in the bank before the election day on November 5th. This is the Prepared Suburbanite reminding you to be prepared always, and I'll see y'all on the next video.